At 4:12 a.m. on November 7, 2025, the sky over Ukraine descended into chaos. In less than 30 minutes, Russia launched 45 K-135 cruise missiles and 120 Shahed-type drones, a strike package worth over $200 million. Targets Kiev, Poltava, and Dnipropetrovsk, home to nearly 6 million civilians. Moscow called it Operation Winter Strike. Ukraine called it a deliberate assault, a show of power that plunged entire cities into darkness. But deep beneath Kiev, silence turned into calculation. Operation Spiral Gate was launched. 30 F-16 fighters, upgraded with AN/APG-68 radars and armed with AIM-120 AMRAAMs, a strike package valued at only $4 million, prepared to infiltrate Russian airspace. Supporting them were 35 UJ-22 UAVs acting as decoys. Their objective? A $1.2 billion nuclear energy complex shielded by S-400 Panzer and Russia's $500 billion air defense network. Could 30 fighters break through Moscow's wall of steel, or would they be swallowed by multi-billion-dollar defenses? Kyiv lay under a frozen shroud of darkness until the sirens screamed. In that instant, Russia launched its winter offensive. 45 K-135 cruise missiles and 120 Shahed-style suicide drones tore across the night sky, striking 25 civilian and infrastructure sites across Kiev, Pava, and Dnipropetrovsk. It was the largest nighttime airstrike since the invasion began. Chaos erupted, flooding Ukraine's radar screens. Alarms wailed through air bases. A storm of missiles descended toward population centers. "Activate all defense systems," the commander ordered. 30 seconds later, S-300 and HIMARS batteries lit the sky. 36 interceptor missiles shot upward like lightning. 9 incoming missiles were destroyed mid-air, but others broke through. The first explosions ripped through the Obolon district. A 12-story apartment block collapsed in 19 seconds, crushing 87 residents beneath burning rubble. A nearby school was incinerated. Children's backpacks lay scattered across the snow. By 4:21 a.m., a maternity hospital lost all power. Nurses carried 11 newborns through smoke-filled corridors, guided only by the glow of their phones. By 6:00, 38 civilians were confirmed dead, 51 wounded, and more than 9,000 displaced. Over 620 residential buildings were damaged. Within just 6 hours, the destruction exceeded $420 million. Kiev's central power grid lost 45% of its output, plunging 1.2 million residents into darkness. Heating stations shut down. Radiators went cold. Supermarkets burned to ashes within 3 hours. In Pava, temperatures dropped to -9 degrees Celsius. Families waited for hours to collect boiling water from emergency tanks. Hospitals rationed generator fuel. Only 12 hours of electricity remained for operating rooms. By dawn, one of Ukraine's key energy facilities had been destroyed, a symbol of Moscow's intent to freeze a nation into submission. But deep beneath Kiev, in the underground command center, silence turned to fury. Moscow called it a winter offensive. Kyiv called it the crime in the snow. And as smoke drifted eastward, one thing was certain: Ukraine would strike back, not with rage, but with precision colder than the snow itself. The sun had not yet risen over Kyiv. Smoke still hung in the air as President Volodymyr Zelensky descended into the underground command center, 18 meters beneath the presidential residence. Around the table sat Ukraine's top generals, the intelligence director, and the energy minister, faces ashen with exhaustion and anger. The report was brutal: 45 missiles, 120 unmanned aircraft, $420 million in damage, and one of the nation's critical power grids wiped out. More than 1.2 million people were without electricity. "If they want to freeze us," Zelensky said quietly, "we will make them feel the cold too." That sentence marked the birth of Operation Spiral Gate, a counterstrike designed not for revenge, but for deterrence. The target, the Keenan nuclear power plant near Udmya Oblast, roughly 200 miles northwest of Moscow, a facility employing more than 1,000 engineers and civilian staff, and regarded as a pillar of Moscow's energy empire. Hitting it would not only damage the economy, it would humiliate the Kremlin. The Ukrainian Air Force presented its tools 30 F-16 Fighting Falcons, recently upgraded with AN/APG-68 radars capable of detecting enemy aircraft at 180 km and armed with AIM-120 AMRAAMs that reach Mach 4 with a 100-kilometer range. Supporting them, 35 UJ-22 airborne UAVs at roughly $100,000 each, acting as bait to expose Russian air defenses. Facing them was Russia's S-400 Triumph, an $800 million air defense system, and Panzer S-1 batteries valued at $15 million each, all protecting a plant considered untouchable. Everyone in that dim bunker understood the stakes. Ukraine had lost $420 million in a single night. Now, they would gamble US-funded weapons to hit a $1 billion target. When Zelensky gave the order, the words echoed, "Let them know Moscow is not untouchable." The border was quiet, too quiet. One by one, 30 F-16s taxied down the frozen runway near Mirhorod Air Base. Engines thundered beneath the starry sky, rattling the icebound ground. Spiral Gate moved from plan to execution. Each fighter carried two AIM-120 AMRAAMs and a load of precision-guided bombs. Their radars were locked toward the Russian border, while a humble UJ-22 UAV launched ahead to lure the air defense network into the open. When the UAV crossed into enemy airspace, radar signals erupted across western Russia. Panzer S-1 systems guarding the energy complex locked onto the false target. 5 interceptor missiles, each costing about $1 million, climbed to meet a drone cheaper than a luxury car. In Ukraine's control room, officers watched the screens glow. "Target illumination," confirmed one said. "They've taken the bait." As the $5 million volley shredded the decoy among the clouds, the real strike package climbed from 10,000 meters, slicing radar signatures with precise formation. Every passing minute drained Russia's coffers. $7.3 million burned in operational losses, while Ukraine lost only a single drone. Blinded by their own jamming, Russian operators mistook phantom returns for a full-scale raid. S-400 complexes with missiles costing $2.5 billion each began firing. In less than 5 minutes, over $40 million of ammunition vanished, an erasure of night sky by wasted fire. Meanwhile, under the radar horizon, the F-16s flew low, hugging terrain at Mach 1.2. The pilots said little. Every breath matched the rhythm of war, calm, mechanical, certain. The encrypted message arrived, Stage 1, complete. Begin attack. The trap had worked. Russia's shield was broken. In the next 10 minutes, the costliest error in Moscow's air defense history would unfold a battle where $4 million of Ukrainian steel would shatter $500 million of Russian pride. They thought the decoy was the real threat. The real storm had not yet begun. The night sky glowed red above the Keenan nuclear power plant, Russia's pride and its most vulnerable secret. 30 F-16s pierced Russian airspace at 10,000 meters. Afterburners leaving glowing scars across the frozen sky. Each jet carried 2 AIM-120 AMRAAMs and precision-guided bombs, a strike package valued at $3.8 million, yet capable of inflicting hundreds of millions in losses within minutes. Below them, Moscow's S-400 Triumph and a web of Panzer S-1 batteries scrambled to respond. A dozen interceptors about $30 million roared upward trails, twisting through darkness as they hunted heat. Within 90 seconds, 11 of 20 inbound threats were destroyed. But the remaining 9 broke through. What followed changed the map of Russian confidence. 3 AMRAAMs struck the reactor complex, each carrying a 50-pound high-explosive fragmentation warhead detonating inside the steam generator hull. The blasts tore through a reinforced containment layer designed to withstand earthquakes and airstrikes. A plume of fire rose nearly 1,000 meters, visible from 25 miles away. Seconds later, 5 weapons tore into the cooling tower network, and turbine chambers collapsing hundreds of tons of steel and concrete. The last missile hit the main electrical switch yard, cutting 2.4 gigawatts from Moscow's grid, enough to power 1.5 million homes. The city's western sector went dark for 14 minutes before emergency rerouting began. Inside the control center, chaos reigned. 12 dead, 170 seriously injured, and 2 312 emergency calls flooding Moscow's lines within 20 minutes. Shock waves shattered 3 800 windows, buckled 7 bridges, and triggered indirect industrial losses estimated at $600 million. Nearby hospitals on backup power treated burns and trauma non-stop for 18 hours. Reconnaissance confirmed the plant was burning uncontrollably. Cameras captured workers fleeing beneath falling debris and a helicopter circling the inferno in vain. As the last F-16s crossed back into Ukrainian airspace, a single encrypted transmission echoed through Kiev's command room, targets neutralized. Moscow's wall is broken. 30 aircraft and $4 million in ordnance had shattered $1.2 billion of infrastructure and the illusion of Russian invincibility. The balance of modern warfare had shifted. Speed, precision, and psychology, not size, now ruled the sky. Moscow woke not to sunlight, but to the taste of ash. From the western skyline, a 14-mile column of smoke still rose from the crippled complex. Inside the city, metro tunnels stood silent, and more than 2.3 million residents faced blackouts. The grid had lost 2.4 gigawatts collapsing power across 7 administrative districts. Traffic lights died. Hospitals went to generators. The heartbeat of the capital fell silent in a single night. An emergency meeting convened in the Kremlin's subterranean war room. The first casualty report, 30 dead, 400 injured, 1,000 displaced workers, and $1.2 billion in losses. The plant that symbolized Moscow's strength was now an open wound, and its images had already gone viral worldwide. By mid-morning, Russian intelligence confirmed what the Kremlin feared: the attack was executed by a Ukrainian F-16 squadron using NATO-standard encryption. Satellite data exposed the precision, every impact within 3 meters of aim point. The humiliation was complete. Across Europe, NATO held an emergency summit in Brussels. No condemnation followed. Instead, a classified communiqué surfaced: Ukraine exercised legitimate self-defense. Hours later, the United States approved another $800 million aid package, including 250 additional UAVs and electronic warfare modules. In Kiev, celebrations were muted. Zelensky's Buse command bunker glowed with screens showing Moscow in flames. "This isn't victory," he said softly, "but a message that terror has a cost." By noon, markets reeled. Russia's energy index fell 11%, erasing $23 billion in a single trading day. Panic rippled across exchanges. As fires burned into afternoon, the world realized something irreversible. A $4 million Ukrainian strike had revealed fatal seams in a $500 billion Russian defense architecture. Steel walls failed. Algorithms won. War had changed. By nightfall on November 8th, the fire in western Moscow dimmed, but the world it left behind would never be the same. The Kremlin's towers stood against a red horizon, silent, humiliated, exposed. For the first time in decades, Russia's aura of invincibility had been pierced not by nuclear power or economic might, but by precision calculation and human resolve. In Kyiv, lights flickered back on after nearly 40 hours of darkness. Families gathered in basements and stairwells, holding candles, whispering prayers. They had lost so much: homes, hospitals, entire neighborhoods, yet news of the counterstrike brought something Russian missiles could not destroy: hope. The numbers told a story built for history books: $4 million in ammunition, shattered $1.2 billion in Russian assets, exposed flaws in a $500 billion defense network, and disrupted a nation of 140 million for more than 48 hours. Economists called it the most cost-effective strike in modern warfare. Analysts called it the day deterrence was reinvented. For those who lived it, it was survival. As dawn approached, Zelensky addressed his people from the command bunker, his voice steady. They tried to freeze our nation. Instead, they awakened it. That line circled the world, replayed in capitals and military academies alike. The true lesson of the winter fire was not destruction, but transformation. It proved that technology, courage, and precision can outweigh fear, wealth, and arrogance, and that sometimes the smallest spark lit in the darkest winter can set the world ablaze. If you found this analysis insightful and want to support more in-depth breakdowns like this, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss the next unfolding conflict.